A10 bump, gonna give you the jump. Got the views you can use. A10 bump, gonna give you the jump. A10 news got the views you can use. A10 gonna do it again. A10 bump, gonna give you the jump. A10 news got the views you can use. A10 news got the views you can use. A10 bump, gonna give you the jump. A10 bump, gonna give you the jump. A10 news got the views you can use. A10 news got the views you can use. A10 bump, gonna give you the jump. A10 news got the views you can use. A10 gonna do it again.
I ain't studying you in the regular language means I really don't care what his position is based upon his political motives.
Tell everybody how much you love A10 News Media Group.
A10 News Media Group. I love them because they got the message to sports Negro up in California for burning them jockeys from under the bridge and sending them to Flint because nobody recognizes the dark man no more. They rather to burn them out and talk about NRA, Negro racket ass, and you ain't getting no.
Yes, I had a cocktail.
Are you not saying good morning to your people like you?
This is very important.
I know it's very important.
Good morning, everybody.
Mickey acting strange today. You know, Mickey get to interact with the minister today. We're going to have a good show.
Good morning, family. With further ado, let's bring on Brother Troy, Minister Muhammad.
You got
I've been sharing while we was doing all
Lord,
yeah,
okay. Well, we just going to jump right into it then. Good morning, everybody. We got to give them a chance to get out here. Tell them hi. Hi, little mama. Hey, Teresa. This your job, Mickey.
I know.
He trying to act strange today.
I know.
Because we got a special guest in the house. We got the minister from Detroit, Minister Troy Muhammad out of Mosque Number 1.
Mosque Number 1, definitely.
How you doing, Minister?
I'm doing fine in the presence of two special human beings who are doing some special things to affect the community of Flint and far reaching, well beyond Flint.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, far beyond.
That's what time it is.
So, shouts out to A10 News Media Group and the greatest producer in the world. We call him Space Lee Sprockets, but today we're going to call him Mickey X. So Mickey gonna go rogue on us today. So you're gonna be Mickey X today. Trevor, how you doing down there in Florida? How's it going? You out of harm's way, or is it pretty much the whole state? Just making sure you're safe, so you got to check in with us. And good morning. Hey, Luna. Did you see Nancy when she was here this past weekend for one day, like she usually be here? Hey, Ebony. Who else we got up here? Meat free. Stay safe. You from Florida too. Go on, Mickey. Mickey act
Nah,
like
I
he's
was just
scared
saying.
today.
Nah,
Mickey scared.
nah, not really. Not today. We're not scared. But I was waiting because I know you had these great questions for the minister. So I was,
It's not. I'm waiting. We waiting till everybody get on here. You know, the people got to get on here. Realize that we on because Mickey was late. I was on time.
man.
I was on time this morning.
What time?
What
On
time?
time.
I got here before 9 o'clock.
Okay, but what's the time you
time?
agreed to be here? Negro business.
You ain't gonna come on my show. You ain't gonna come on my show and play me like that. No, I was here on time today, and I'm sticking with it. But we got the minister on here today. We want to talk about some things. We've been talking about Project 2025. We've been talking about Harris versus Trump, because it's not Biden anymore. It's Harris. And
you look sad because it ain't Biden anymore. What's going on, sister?
I'm sad because the condition of the world.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sad because we telling people to vote. We just tell people just vote. We're not telling them who to vote for, but it's hard for me to cheer on an administration, and we didn't had unclean water in Flint for 10 and a half years. We've been through Republicans, Democrats, and now she came to Flint last Friday. She did a 10-minute speech. At the end, some say she said, y'all know about water. Some say she said she was going to fix the water. I don't know. I wasn't there. Right. But it's like, when? So we got to vote you in again for you to fix the water? I just got a lot of questions. And then they playing with us, in my opinion, they playing with us with this Project 2025 like Candyman. If you say it 3 times, then the ghost is going to appear and take y'all back to Africa. I mean, like, why? Why do we do this every 4 years? We wait until the 12th hour, and then we lost. How we ask for nothing? We don't hold our vote back. We don't demand that they do anything. And it's...
Well, I mean, it's you said a lot.
Right. So just unpack it.
And it's a lot going on. So when you talk about Flint water, I do think that, it's a local issue, because if we look right down the street to Benton Harbor, who also had problems with the water, the local mayor, Minister Marcus Muhammad, was able to use his relationships with the governor, and they had the whole system replaced. So it may be something going wrong with the local government in Flint. So, I think that's something we have to look at with a more skilled eye, and figure out how that happened. We should be down the street asking, how did this happen? How did you make this happen? And why it hasn't happened here, being that the situation in Flint was national, and in fact, international, and we didn't get it done. So I think we have to look at that. Concerning Black people in our political movement, how we move politically and how we wait to the last hour. The reality is, I remember hearing the minister say, politics without economics is symbol without substance. So how many Chinese politicians do you see? How many Arab politicians do you see? How many Indian American politicians do you see? But all of those people are doing good in America without politicians. But they came in and they established themselves an economic base. And once you have an economic base, then you can use that money to influence whatever politician is in the office. And when our Black politicians get in office, they don't have nothing. They barely getting there, And we don't have the finance to back them so that we can push some of our agendas. So other people come in and they put their money behind these candidates, and then they get their agendas across. So just not having the economic base, and it's unfair. That's why I said that the poor have no voice. It's an unfair thing. It's an unfair system here in America, but that's the system that we're looking at. So we have to change our way. And the number one change we have to make is to do something for ourselves. Where politics, I work in Dearborn, Michigan. The Arab community came in Dearborn, Michigan, and they bought the business. That's the largest Arab population outside of Mecca.
Oh, wow.
So they've come into Dearborn, Michigan. They established the businesses. They bought the housing, and they control that area. None of even the McDonald's don't sell pork in Dearborn.
What?
You know what I mean? Right. That area is controlled by them in that aspect. And they're the owners. When you go to the banks, it's Arabs in the banks. All the stores, it's Arabs in the stores. And so they're not even affected by outer politics because they're controlling their own environment. Well, why haven't we done the same in Flint? Why haven't we done the same thing in Detroit? Where we're still influenced by other sources. Detroit looks good from the outside, and you see some black political faces and some people who say that they're economic dynamos. But at the end of the day, everybody is still under the control of dollars that's coming from outside the city. So when you look at a city like Detroit being developed, it's Dan Gilbert dollars. So it gives Dan Gilbert the influence in the city. So I think black people in general, voting, it hasn't worked for us. It hasn't done anything for us. That's not to say don't vote.
Right.
However, just like you in the Nation of Islam, we don't pick politicians to endorse. The minister tells us to vote your conscience. And when we vote our conscience, we have to vote what feels right for ourselves. You know what I mean? What personally feels right for me and how it'll affect me. So it's a lot going on. We got a lot to do. We got a lot to think about, but we have to be different going forward, or we'll continue to be manipulated,
Right.
not just by the one party, but by both parties.
That's true.
We've been manipulated by them both. When you see them rolling out black faces for the Republican Party, when you see them pulling out black sports stars for the Republican Party, when you see them pushing rappers for the Republican Party, we're being manipulated then. So both parties have manipulated us, and we're only manipulated for the vote because we haven't brought anything else to the table.
Me.
No, I'm enjoying it because I'm saying right now, the big thing they got is women reproductive rights. Like they saying we don't want, what I'm saying, the abortion is the big thing going on right now. And I'm trying to figure out, like, where did this start from? Like, you know what I'm saying, with the abortions now, this is one they saying women, they want to have the right to do whatever they want to do with their own body. Like, when didn't they not have the right? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Well, I mean, you're talking about a society, America, that was built upon white male chauvinism.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the white male was in control of everything. He didn't just, when you look at black people, we look from a form of segregation, and you can't go here, you can't use the bathroom here, and a certain mentality that they had. Right. But they also had a mentality with their women, and the desire to just control everything. You know what I mean? That's the satanic mind in itself, to want to control everything, So the denial of a woman's right, or anybody's right to choose, because that's a God-given right. Everybody should have the right to choose whatever path they choose, and then have to deal with the consequences. If I want to go out in the streets and sell dope and hustle and do that thing, I have to deal with the consequences when I go to prison. I can't be there crying, you know what I mean? That's what I put out. That's the road that I chose. But in the same sense, everybody should have the right to choose a road. That's when you look at the story of Adam and Eve, right? The basic story in the Bible. He gave you a choice, or gave you an instruction, what to choose. They, they chose what they chose.
Right.
And, it came a point where they kind of played a blame game, when he said, Adam, why did you eat the fruit? He said, she told me to.
Right.
And they asked her, she said, the serpent told me to. That's our society now. We blaming everybody for the choices that we make. So I do think that everybody should have the right to do what they want to do. So that is a very important topic. I'm not one who agrees with abortion in the aspect that when you look at great human beings who have come forth, what if Mary would have aborted Jesus? What if Dr. King's mother would have aborted him? And I mean, we can go down the list line about, you cutting off the opportunity for life that might be a very consequential life, no matter how it came into fruition. So that's a big issue, but I think women should have the ability to choose. Definitely.
Minister and Mickey, I heard, and I think we talked about it for a minute, that they said by 2030 or somewhere along in there, that if we kept reproducing Black people, that the Caucasians would become the minority. And that's why they trying to roll out this abortion bill. Like, y'all, do away with y'all babies.
That
Can
was
we want to?
Pat Buchanan.
Okay.
Remember, he wrote the book. It was called Death to the West. That was back.
Death to the West, definitely.
94 or something, 95.
Mm-hmm.
It was in early, but this was a white man who wrote that because he was saying the darkening of America because you seeing more brown people was coming.
Right.
And with them, like I was saying.
And that's what the border issues are about. They don't want more darker people here.
Right.
They don't have a border issue when it comes to people that look like them.
Right.
That's not who they're complaining about.
Right.
And then with Black people in America, it's just our eyes aren't open wide enough. And that's what, leaders like Malcolm X were trying to do when they were trying to give us an international view. Because when you look internationally, Black people are not the minority. We're the majority of the world.
That's it.
And if you can connect those dots, then it's over, right? It just takes for Black people to stand up. It don't take a nuclear bomb, an atomic bomb. But when you're the majority, all it takes for you to do is stand up. But we're so disconnected, not just disconnected here, but everywhere. To our people all over the world, where we think that we're different. We think that they're different because we speak different languages or have different religions or our culture is a bit different. But we all look the same. When I look at you, I can see me. When you look at me, you can see you. So that's something that they've always tried to keep us disconnected from, understanding that we're not a minority, but we're actually a majority. And I would even argue in America, when you look at commercials and all the Black representation you see today on commercials, I mean, they're selling to the people that's the majority, I believe, you know what I mean? Or they wouldn't have to entertain us. They wouldn't have to reach out to us if they thought we were that minority. So I think that we're growing. I think that, in the 70s and the 80s, it was common to put abortion clinics and pass out pamphlets and stuff like that and contraceptives to our young women in the schools with the idea that, you were keeping them from sex, but the idea was more so to keep them from reproducing.
That's what Sister Taliba said. She said population control.
Population control. She got it.
And that's what when you seeing it, because it's like it don't make, because like people with Planned Parenthood, with Margaret's, with the SAG, they don't really go into the details about that, like really what that was planned for. That's what I be frustrated with. It's like, you know what I'm saying, when you see all these things that's been brought up that we at the Supreme Court, even Roe versus Wade, like these different names. If you really go back and look at it, was it really for us, or was it just pushing certain people's agendas through? That's what it seemed like to me. We just they get whoever they can get behind to push an agenda through. Then we forget.
Right.
That's right.
Because I'm looking at what John Conyers out of Detroit when he did the HR 40 bill. Why they never? He just wanted it looked at. And you looking at I think who passed away was it?
Lewis.
Yeah, said Good Trouble.
When
he wanted to put the
John Lewis
when he wanted to put about the Flint water. When he died, that went away. Like, who
Like
else
nobody else picked
like,
it up.
Yeah, then we got the Congressional Black Caucus. All these different things we got going on. You never see the Congressional Black Caucus say nothing, even with the district in here. When they did redistricting, what was the Democrats at with it? You know what I'm saying? So,
Well, where were we at, right?
Facts.
And
Yeah.
you know, if I heard it said, if you don't create for yourself an agenda, you'll become a part of somebody else's agenda, right? And as Black people, we really haven't created an agenda for ourselves. I mean, you got agendas all over, different types, you know what I mean? But we have to have a solid agenda where we stop getting caught up in everybody else's agenda. So when you talk about a Democratic Party trying to pull us now, that's their agenda. It has nothing to do with us. You know, when you have the Republicans pulling Black faces in, that's for their agenda. They want to get in the office so they can do the things that they want to do. Which is really, you know, when you look at Democrat and Republican, you know, if we look over the years, too much hasn't changed from either party.
That's what
It's just been a continuous mess.
Yep.
Especially when it comes to the poor. You can't see too much change. You know what I mean? Your murder rates have stayed the same. Your police forces have stayed the same. You know, the same has taken place across America. So when you look at it like that, you kind of see that it's really a hustle, because the party that gets in and they can enrich their friends, you know, they can put money in their friends' pockets, you know what I mean? So you can see the hustle of the whole thing, man. And it really, the agenda is really not to help the American people in general, but it's to put people in places and use influence to make things happen that they want to happen on both sides. And I guess that's why independent party never gets good traction. You know what I mean? And you had a guy like with the money, say Ross Perot, for instance, who tried to come in, you know, and different people who try to come in. Yeah, but he had, you know, a lot of money. So it wasn't money that was preventing him from getting in. It was other people and other entities. And I'm not saying this as a Ross Perot fan. I'm just talking about an independent party.
I get exactly what you're saying. I just like you guys, because I'm looking at when Bernie Sanders was so-called independent, and then he got wrapped up in the Democratic Party. Look how he changed from when he was independent to when he became part of the Democratic Party. He's not the same Bernie Sanders who was running independent. To me, it's like you see how he changed his whole stance and everything. Changed. And look at Cory Bush, so-called part of the squad. Look how the Democrats got them out.
Yeah.
Look how they want to get Rashida Tlaib out. Look how they got the other dude from New York. I think Jamal. I can't think of his
I know
name.
who you're talking about.
Yeah, how they got him up out of there. It's just like if you don't go along with their program, with the Democratic program, that's why I'm looking at it like, to me, it's just like we don't see it. We look at Democrats like they're gonna get us through, which I don't see. Like you said, I don't see us voting. That's gonna change our conditions.
And that's, you know, that's how we have viewed everybody. Like, this is the one. You know, where it's like we're looking for a superhero to take us over, you know, instead of getting the understanding that it's self-improvement, which is the base for the community development. Self-improvement is the base of you or I straightening up our lives. Self-improvement, you know, where we get together and you talk to your children, I talk to mine, and we start building something based upon that to stop some of the mess that we see in our communities. Self-improvement, pooling our resources, where if 3 of us can get together and open up that store down the street, 4 of us can get together and open up some type of, you know, business that can support our own community. These churches that, you know, are almost like gang sets. You know, instead of working together, you know, you got one on this corner, one on that corner. So, you know, it's a lot of things that we have to really sit down and look at, you know, instead of scrolling the internet and talking about Puffy, talking about R. Kelly, talking about all these issues that are really no issues when it comes to our personal lives and our development and the safety in our communities and the security in our communities and healthcare in our communities, things that the government is supposed to provide, but still hasn't provided for our people and the poor.
And I don't think that they ever will.
because it's their hustle.
Right. They don't want if the black people were stabilized in the poor communities, then the money would quit coming in. Then they couldn't fatten their pockets.
It's a hustle. It's a hustle on another level while we monkey hustling.
Yeah.
You know, we
Right.
selling T-shirts and we think we doing it. You know what I mean? We doing our thing on the corner. You know what I mean? You saw, you know, how they just took the weed man out of business. You know what I mean?
Listen,
and now they got dispensaries on every corner. You know,
Right. To be honest with you, every person that's in jail on weed should be out.
Should be let out.
Free.
Let out. It shouldn't be no
Absolutely.
ifs, ands. You ain't got no violent crime when you ain't killed nobody. You should be let out.
Right.
Hey, and what's cold blooded? Who they freezing out in these weed dispensaries?
Us.
But
Right.
we don't see no racism in none of this.
That's right. It's
And it's
across
not
the
coming
board.
back to our
No,
communities.
it's not. It's
The
not
money
coming
is
back.
not.
No money.
The only thing we getting from that is no sense.
Facts.
Our children walking around on this marijuana like zombies.
Right. High, stuck all day.
So that's what we're getting back. More poverty, more need,
Right.
more want. The little things that we do try to do, like I said, you know, we producing T-shirts and stuff like that.
Right.
Now you see them in Walmart with our sayings on them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they taking, they taking all our hustle,
Yeah.
you know, and we left holding the bag.
But it go like that. Just if you go look at it, like, see, the big thing that people not really paying attention. Don't get me wrong, and I ain't using this brother for that. But look why they went and dig the dirt up on Puffy. People keep forgetting that Dijon. Am I saying it right? The liquor company. We listened to the whole thing when he built up Ciroc. Then he said he wanted his own. Then the Maguave plants. When he went to Mexico, found out the company ain't had.
They hadn't even planned them.
They ain't planted his. Then when he went to say it, but it's like, it's crazy. Because I watched 50 Cent when he was at that whatever fest they be having when he was talking. Well, I did business with him. They feel like because they gave him 30 million, but damn, how much was you making? If you gave me 30, what was they making?
Right.
So because he wanted to have his own, he wanted to go from making 30 million to actually becoming a billionaire maybe several times. You ain't supposed to do that. You supposed to be content. And ain't nobody saying none of that. Like they be, you know, these rich people be having connections to U.S. attorneys, to judges.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And we be looking at that. We can sick these people. They can sick these people on you. That's why I was saying I was watching the show with Sylvester Stallone called The Tulsa King. And it was interesting that the episode 1 was like that, where you seen the rich man. He was selling weed, but he wanted to put Sylvester Stallone out of business. But he went to the U.S. attorney to get him to sick him on him. I'm like, damn.
Yep.
Like, but we don't see that.
We don't see it. We're not looking, you know?
Yeah.
And that, you know, when you look at, say, hip hop and that movement, when you look at a Russell Simmons and all the people now that's connected to him that have become millionaires because of him. You look at the Puffies and the Jay-Z's and, you know what I mean? Death Row, all of these guys who blew up and made millions in the process, but they made millionaires. And these aren't just individuals, but now these guys are sprinkling their families and, you know, they start going in the clothing business and this business and that business. You know, that is a shift change, you know, and they don't want to see that. So you have to look at it.
Reach a certain level.
Yeah. We got to pull you back.
Yeah, with Kanye.
Kanye.
Found out about the fashion
you know,
industry.
right. And he wasn't taking no for an answer. He was kicking the door in. You know what I mean? He was talking about, I'm Walt Disney. You know what I mean? I'm Louis Vuitton. You know what I mean? I'm
crazy though.
But he wasn't, right?
But this is put out even with Dave Chappelle when he turned down the $50 million. If you go back and look what he was saying, it was like, it wasn't that they was laughing at, you know, they weren't laughing with me, they was laughing at me.
And he also said, then they say they wanted him to put on a dress and all that. He's like, I'm not putting on no dress.
Put you on this medicine. Like with Kanye, let's put you on this pill.
Michael Jackson, you know, one of our, I mean, if not the greatest of ours of all time, you know, it's come out that he was trying to buy Marvel.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And now if you look at Marvel today, you know, and the effects that it had, you know, Prince, who decided, hey, man, we're not doing it this way anymore. Prince was the first one to start putting his music straight to the community to buy. You know what I mean? Selling the concert tickets through his CDs. And these two are dead. But you got Elton John still alive. You know what I mean? You got all these
I thought about that
hillbillies,
last
you
night.
know, who sniff cocaine and get how they still living. I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence that our great ones who decided to take the chain off their neck. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
Michael Jackson, he was done with his company at that point.
Right.
And his last album was called This Is It. I'm done with them. Prince, you know, you remember he wrote Slave on the side of his face. He was done with that. And then these two guys end up dead, you know, with doses of some drug, right? And both of them were like devout Jehovah Witness Christian type brothers, you know what I mean? So that wasn't even in their thing.
Right.
So then you see a Bill Cosby get vilified and go down. And, you know, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I was approached concerning John Conyers when John Conyers was charged with some type of sexual harassment or something like that. I was approached to defend him. So I called the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he told me, he said, well, son, you weren't there in the room.
Right.
So you can't defend him based upon that. You could defend him on what you know of him.
Right.
But you can't say he didn't or he did do it because you weren't there. That made sense to me. He said, so if you know him to be a good man, you can speak on that. And it's the same thing with a Bill Cosby. If you look at all the good work that he's put out in our community, from Fat Albert to the Cosby Show, clean comedy, you know, just the assessment that they made of him, it don't even line up with the person that we know. So this guy goes to prison. They were hoping he died based upon his age, but he got through the process and then they let him out. Now they ain't saying nothing about it.
Nothing.
You know, you understand what I'm saying? And we saw the same thing with Michael Jackson when they vilified him and talked about him molesting children and all this. He had to go through all that he went through. Now we're getting reports from some of those children who said, my dad made me do it.
Yep,
Somebody else told me to do it. You know, so just to jump on our celebrities or our stars when when white people say they wrong. You know, it's a crazy thing. And I think it speaks towards some of our own self-hatred. You know, when we see somebody successful and, you know, as soon as some dirt jumps on them, then we jump on them and we get worse and worse. And they have to allow them to be dirtied amongst us.
Right.
So they can proceed to do what they want to do.
Yeah, because you know what died down? Remember the guy from here, Terry Crews.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
When that executive grabbed him like that, that went out of nowhere.
That
went out of nowhere. You didn't see him get vilified. This was a Hollywood executive. And reason he was scared to say something because he didn't want to be out of a job.
All right.
Because you know what I'm saying? This is what they can do. But we don't never hear. We hear all these Hollywood executives do this, but they mainly target the actors. You know what I'm saying? Harvey Weinstein, he out.
And they didn't put all his information out. I mean, you know what I mean? And the other guy who, Epstein, they didn't put all the details of what they didn't say Jeffrey Epstein had 1,000 bottles of baby oil. You know what I mean? It's like, how is that relevant to anything? Is that illegal? Why would you allow that to get out? Why would an ATF or whoever rated, why would they even report that, you know, to be put out? And it's just to vilify the person in our mind, you know?
It goes back to like, J. Edgar Hoover. They parade him around like he was great. Let's just be honest. This is what America do. But see, it comes back because he wasn't attacking their communities. Like how we say the police not good because don't nobody see it because it's not, you don't see the police attacking savage, going crazy in white communities.
They do it. We just don't hear about it. They don't exploit it as much.
The police far as you can come in. Listen, I remember being young when they first come in. Why you out here? Why you walking? Why I gotta explain to myself why I'm walking around my neighborhood?
Still happens. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Why I gotta explain myself? Why is always we gotta get into a back and forth? You don't do that when you go to other communities. Really, even though I know what's going on in our area, but we still should be respected as humans. It shouldn't come in. That's only my problem with when I be hearing we need more police. The police don't come in to separate the good from the bad when they see us. They're going to treat us all the same. And you got to hope you get one that might be cool, that ain't gonna be so bad, talk to you crazy, because they ain't telling you how they talk to you, first
Right.
of all.
Mhm.
They try to low rate you like you ain't shit.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we got to put up with this. They ain't doing them other neighborhoods like that.
They don't do the other neighborhoods
Yeah.
like that. And I mean, we've seen it. I mean, just based upon social media now, you can see the comparison on how they deal in other neighborhoods. You know, I've seen stuff on social media where guys just threaten the police, man. You're not going to touch me. You ain't going to do. We wouldn't have got, 2 seconds into that. You know, and as you said, when we were younger, man, they would just pull up on us.
Yeah.
They had a group in Detroit called the Big Four, where you would have 4 big officers, usually white officers, who had the ability to just pull up on you and do whatever they wanted to do. Check your pockets, all this type of stuff with no cause. And this happens daily with us. We get pulled over for no cause, and that's just not acceptable. When you have to, as adults now, you worry when your children leave the house.
Mhm.
You got to go over it with them. You know what to say if an officer pull you over. You got to, keep your hands on the steering wheel. Nobody else trains their children like that, but we have to be like that, with this extra stuff, man. So, of course, when you look at these things, it again speaks towards politics without economics.
Yeah.
It's symbol without substance, because we're saying it, but nobody's listening to us.
Right.
We're protesting about it, but nobody's listening to
Right.
us. Then they create programs like Black Lives Matter or something like that, and then we think we got something going, not knowing that they the ones that created it.
Right.
The NAACP. Don't
Yeah,
get me
that's
started.
right. You know what I mean? You could go down
Here
the
we
list.
go.
That's what Minister Farrakhan was talking about at the Savior's Day event, where in Israel, they're talking about Hamas, but Hamas was created by Israel leadership,
They not gonna say that.
against Yasser Arafat.
Right,
You know what I
they
mean?
not
So
gonna say that.
that's the product of them. And they have a history of doing that. When they see opposition to them in the community, then they create other opposition.
Facts.
And it's been a constant thing, and it's always kept us as a people divided.
Being so close with the Dearborn community, what's your whole take on the war? What's your stance?
Well, the stance has always been it's unjust. I mean, you can't. I mean, that's like me coming to your house telling you to get out. It's mine. That's what Israel has done to the Palestinians. You know what I mean? We come in there, we taking the land, it's ours because God said it's ours. That's crazy in itself. And then to have America backing this thing, that's what shows, again, politics without economics. Because America is funding these people and continuing to fund them, and have funded them to the point where they feel that they're strong enough to stand on their own. The United Nations is bought.
Mhm.
So no, I definitely don't agree with that, where you can just take what you want and then kill people. Now you're saying, okay, on October 7th, that 1,500 or 1,700 Israelis were killed because of what Hamas did. Now, if you consider they created Hamas, you can go back to that.
Right.
But if you just said Hamas did this to 1,700 innocent Israelis, you have now killed almost 40,000 people or more. And they're not members of Hamas. Innocent men, women, and children. And out of that number, the last number that I read, 15,000 were children. And Minister Farrakhan said at Savior's Day to Black people, he said, don't think that happening over there has nothing to do with you, because what they're doing over there is the desire for them to do over here to you. Black people are considered the undesirables in America. And when they get in their mind, or they get in position to start incorporating some of the things that they want to incorporate, don't think it's going to be no different. That's a test. When you see people being murdered like that and the world not standing up against them. So that means if nobody's standing up, okay, we can do it again. That's when the bully piece gets to come in. Because nobody's saying nothing. Nobody's standing up. So we have to be more aware. And as Black people, we have that sensitivity to other people. You know what I mean? We don't just even, we don't even go out to hunt deer. You know what I mean? That's just not us. Just to go kill something to be killing it. We so crazy we kill one another.
That's true. That's true.
Because we hate ourselves. There's no way I should be able to look at my brother and be able to shoot him if he looks like me. It's like, man, no, man, it's something I hate about myself. It's no reason for me to beat a woman that looks like my sister or my mother. It got to be something I hate about them. So it's something we have to do with ourselves. It's very important, and we got to figure this thing out. Ain't got nothing to do with voting. Ain't got nothing to do with any of that. You know, if we got to vote, we got to vote for God, period. But God in a way where we understand it better, where we understand that he's empowered us, not where you go to a church or a mosque or a synagogue and you just leave everything up to chance. But vote for the God who gave you power and gave you dominion and gave you some instructions, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it. You know what I mean? Take advantage of where you at and who you are and make things happen. That's the type of God we got to be connected to. You know, the God that, you know, Noah was connected to. With Noah, he took the instruction. He went and built an ark, and the ark saved him, his family, you know, and those with him. We got to build arks in our community now. Well, your responsibility is, of course, yourself and those that you love. We can't just talk love. We got to create it. We have to create a better system where we're not losing so many of those who we love in these cracks.
Mick, what you got for the minister?
Nah, I was like with the panel. I'm still on that, and because it goes back to this: how can you expect, as far as the Dearborn, them to vote for Kamala? That's the thing. I'm like, and I see a lot of the Democrats, and that's what confused me. Even with people that be in our chat, you know, you got to vote Democrats. So what you saying? Damn, what the Palestinians going through when they saying, how you gonna convince them to go vote for Kamala? When she already then came, like she been to AIPAC. They did want me ask me about AIPAC, how they control our politicians, like money.
Well, you see where they offered, what was that, Hill Harper, $20 million to run against
Rashida Tlaib.
Yeah,
AIPAC did. Notice that they wanted him to go get out of the race he was in, and they
go
were
run
give him
against
$20
her.
million to go against Rashida Tlaib.
Well.
He said, well.
I don't know who said that. That might be his story. I don't know. I don't think he could have beat her.
No, he wasn't gonna beat her.
Because, you know, she's standing on the truth. And people, they're so scared in Dearborn that they hide behind her. They don't support Rashida as they should.
Right. Okay.
They hide behind her because they're, you know, a lot of cowards are there too.
Right.
When you talk about them Dearborn holding their vote,
right.
You know, these are a lot of young Arab Americans who are leading this push.
So
it's not the established, it's not the established older. The older have established themselves. You know, they're making their money. They've created their families, which I understand. But it's not that, right? To hold a vote, and I've talked to them about it. I said, please don't go down the same road that we went down. You know, thinking that voting, holding the vote or giving a vote is going to get you in a better position.
Right.
Because both of those parties are tied to Israel. Right. Both of those parties are slaves to Israel. You know, when you look at their words, Trump has said worse.
Yeah.
He said, keep on going, you know.
Right.
The Biden administration, you know, they tap dance and they bend and bow when it's necessary. But both administrations are tied to Israel. So either way, in that case, you don't win. Right. Just like with black people, in either case, it's like we're not winning.
That's
you know, so we got to figure out what to do for ourselves. Now, that's not saying don't vote, right?
Right.
Because a lot of our people put their lives on the line to give us the opportunity to at least tap in. You know what I mean? So, you know, in that case, you have a responsibility to tap in, and, you know, locally, you can affect some change, right? And if you if we start preparing ourselves for local government, where you start, you find that person, and then we start supporting that person, grooming that person, and getting that person ready to take a certain office. If it starts off city council and then goes to mayor, whatever. But we have to get in that mindset.
Right.
Because we have to be able to govern ourselves at a certain point. And we have to figure out how that happens. How do we get the businesses, the small Black businesses, to pool their resources to support a specific candidate? And then we start moving this thing up to grow into self-governing, and then the relationship, when you look at, say, Detroit, for instance, and I work with the mayor of Detroit in a lot of capacities, and the deputy mayor, who used to be one of our police leaders in the police department. Their relationship, the relationship they built with the Obama administration when the car companies were crashing, kept them connected to DC. So Detroit was able to get a lot of benefits based upon the relationship they established with the higher ups. Right. And that's I think that's the difference in the Flint and the Benton Harbor piece. So it's just getting the right person in a space, in a space locally. But again, if we don't change our minds, politics, economics, and none of it is going to help us.
But this system wasn't even designed for us. I said yesterday, when they wrote the Constitution, they didn't think of us as even being humans.
Well, we have to design it for ourselves, right? That's where we're history. You look at the history of our people here in America. I went to, I do a lot of trips where I go to spots, like I went where Emmett Till was murdered at. I went to the river where they pulled him out the river. I went to the garage where they even chopped up his body and cut up his body parts, brother. The bridge that they threw him off of. You can go to that area today, and the mentality of the people our age are it's like a slave mentality. And when I thought about it, I realized the people that are our age now, in their late 40s, 50s, they were children when Emmett Till was murdered. Right. So their parents probably told them, be docile. Don't look white people in the eyes. Don't talk back. And they're now grown up. And it's the same in Mississippi as it was back then. So we would be in a line, and a white guy be in front of us, and the brother be working the counter. And when the white guy comes up, he says, yes, sir, or yes, boss. And when we come up, it's not the same,
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, but it's a mentality, right? This going on across the country where we think just everybody's like we are in Flint, or everybody's like we are in Detroit, but it's whole different mentalities all over the place. And then you look at a Dr. King, for instance, who, although we didn't agree with his technique, he was able to use that technique and make America kind of fit around us, right? Mm-hmm. If anybody has been American, according to the Constitution, it's Black people.
That's true.
We are the only ones that try to do things the right way.
Right.
So, I think that Black people are very special people. And I think in the end, we're going to shape this thing up how it's supposed to be. But, just looking, like you said, it's not created for us. So to look to them for something, we crazy, because they haven't given us nothing. They haven't shown us anything in the past where they were desirous to give us anything. I went to where Nat Turner did what he did in Virginia. He forced their hand. Yeah. When they started doing them slave rebellions, killing white people, they started getting scared. I can't sleep at night. Right. You can look at the record and see the stuff that they were saying. Yeah. So that forced them to change their mentality. Then others come through. Frederick Douglass comes through with an articulation. It was incredible. Read his speeches. Yeah. We've always been able to dominate them on their field or on our field. And they don't want that. But we have to just decide today we got to do more. And we can't continue to look to them, even if it's for politics, whatever it is. We got to look towards ourselves. You know what I mean? Because what they, you talk about Project 2025.
That's what we're gonna talk about next. How you
That,
feel about that?
That's been their mentality the whole time. It ain't nothing that's changed. You know what I mean? We acting like that's something new.
Thank you.
That's nothing new. It's just, I guess, because we have internet access now, they get to spread this stuff out.
Right.
But you could read quotes about, you go back to Abraham Lincoln. I don't believe the slaves should be free.
Right.
But I want the Union to be preserved.
You
know what I mean?
Him the great emancipator.
Yeah, you're right.
Go look with him and Frederick Douglass conversation. Do you think that's like me and you talking? Or was that person talking like I'm down on you? Frederick Douglass was having to fight back on some of the words he was saying. He didn't free the niggas because he was trying to preserve the Union.
Yep. So you look at stuff like that. Patrick, I think it's Patrick Berry, who said, in front of Congress, he said, if we could keep light from entering the slave's mind, we will keep them on the level of beast. You know what I mean? And that was the intention. And if you look at everything up until this day, that's what they've worked to do. When we're taught against ourselves and we're not given the opportunity or just the idea of being a minority, it's crazy. So, this political stuff, you look at the words of Biden and Hillary Clinton labeling our young men super predators. And the language that they use towards us. And under Bill Clinton, the crime bill that sent so many of our young men to prisons and jails. And now a lot of them are being released because they were too young to be convicted with these life sentences at the time. You know what I mean? The difference on how they prosecuted crack cocaine in comparison to powder cocaine, because white people use more powder cocaine. All of these things were racist in its core, and it was found to be racist by a court system. But for us to go through all of that, it shows we can't go to them. In the Project 2025, that stuff, that's always been their mentality. But since we didn't have social media to get this information and just spread it about, we didn't know. But that's what they've been working on.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of the stuff, I believe, it's already been
some of it has.
Right.
They tell you they've been saying some of it's been implemented. What get me is when I look at because the Democrats, 4 years they had to vote or die.
Oh yeah.
You was either vote or die. But my thing is this why every 25 years they got to go back to the table for blacks to vote? Quit acting like they ain't never. When Obama got in, he had the House of Representatives and the Senate. But then what we don't get, the truth is they forget about the Dixiecrats. They forget them Dixiecrats, them Southern Democrats. What is the majority of the Congress, Senate and the House? The Senate and the House of Representatives.
Color-wise?
Yeah.
White.
So that's why we got to wait every 25 years. But see, we got people telling us, no, you just got to vote.
And then they tricking us, like we're saying. They having more Republicans running as Democrats. Pretty soon, you're just going to have one big party.
But why it didn't come up, though, when Barack was in there? We don't go with Barack. We can go with Clinton. I think Clinton had House and the Senate at one time.
And he came and played the saxophone and everything. We loved him.
Every president Democrat didn't have they didn't have both houses. Why they didn't never put the 25 year, take that off and we can just vote like anybody else given right. You don't see the other nationalities got 25 years for them to vote. Every year they got to be ratified. But this Congress and this White House, they want me to believe gonna free us.
Sister Taliba said Negroes was running to vote for Biden. Sister Taliba.
Yeah, we run the vote for anybody, and in particular, oftentimes those who don't look like us.
It's crazy for me. Kamala said
we think the system is for us.
But see, this is what I get like with Primo Amunda saying, y'all.
Well, Primo, hey, Primo.
Project 2025, Republicans got the Supreme Court and can make this stuff a reality.
It's already a reality, man. Stop trying to hide from something that's already a reality. You ignoring what you see every day, man. Look at the condition that we're in, and look how we're maneuvered based upon that condition to do things that we generally wouldn't do, if we had the opportunity. So you look at a city like Detroit, for instance, and right next door to Detroit, you have Southfield. Southfield, Michigan is similar to Detroit, and Southfield is 70% black. Right? But the crime rate isn't there. You know what I mean? The victimization of one another ain't there. They all black people.
Right.
But the economics that they have prevent them from doing the crimes that's happening in the city of Detroit. So you see all of this stuff, man. Yeah. Already. You see how we're blocked out already. You know,
now look,
you can look at no, because you know, it's like we bring up this stuff, to Project 2025, right. They about to do it. Nigga, they already did it.
Right. That's what I'm trying to.
Now, what you gonna do? You know what I mean? How do you get yourself together so you're not a victim of stuff like that? Right. You know what I mean? We have to put ourselves in position where we're no longer victims. You know, or we have to depend upon the goodness of white people for us to be all right.
Right.
Oh, man, we got to decide ourselves to lock down and do something better for ourselves and towards one another.
Mm-hmm. Right. Mick?
No, I'm just.
Because I know you haven't had a lot of interaction.
When I hear that, and I'm looking at, you study in the court system. Brothers getting locked up daily. Better, yeah, let's just go back to the political prisoners. When they look how they took out the Black Panthers, them was assassination hits. Mm-hmm. But don't nobody say nothing. We hear about 9/11 first terrorist attack. What do you think Tulsa, Oklahoma was? Mm-hmm. That's when they first dropped bombs.
And I just came from there.
That's what I'm saying. But they don't. They don't see that. But you know what they get mad about? But we gotta watch a movie about Rosewood, 12 Years a Slave. I get sick of them movies.
Roots.
You know what I'm saying?
But now Rosewood, I didn't know that was a true story in Florida, right? Yeah. So when I went to Tulsa, which was a couple weeks ago, what the tour guide was telling me, he said it bothers him that we say Black Wall Street.
Right.
Because it wasn't just a street.
Right.
It was an entire community that was bombed. Right. He said he doesn't like when they use the term mob attacks. Right. Because the police department and the government was involved, and once they got involved and supplied arms, it's no longer a mob. Right. You know what I mean? So Project 2025 already been in effect, right? In 100 different areas. Right. But like you're saying, we just don't acknowledge it, or nobody acknowledges it. You know what I mean? So that's a big piece, man. Right. When you go to that place and they show 300 businesses were destroyed, and they were banks, grocery stores, auto mechanic shops, everything that a community would need, hospitals, residential, man. And then they didn't pay the insurance. They wouldn't pay the insurance. The only insurance claim they paid was to a white gun rifle store out of all those 300 businesses.
And they don't see nothing wrong with it.
And don't see nothing wrong with it. And then they didn't let black people rebuild. They gave them you gotta build. No, if you rebuild, it gotta fit this criteria. And it was too expensive for any of them to get.
So it pushed them
right. So the idea, they said, was to move white people to the black people to the north of the city. Right. And if you go there right now, all black people are in the northern part of the city. So they succeeded, right?
Yeah.
Project 2025, it's been going on.
And they don't want to see redistricting.
They don't want to accept it.
Redistricting.
When you look at the redistricting,
that
movie they just shot in Flint, how they added Midland up in there. What you thought that was for? How many of us living up that way?
Not a lot.
So now that's going to be dictating what's going to be coming to Flint and what ain't going to be coming to Flint.
Because they know white people vote more than black people. We got damn near 90% of people in Flint registered to vote. They just don't vote.
And I'll give you a better one. I made her last night. I'm going to go and call it out. I can give two fucks how you feel about me. Where do he show up when the blacks having them town hall meetings? He show up. But you know what he showed up to? That 6th ward?
Yes.
Mott Park, and he'll show up to that 7th ward.
And what did I write last night? He showed up because he don't want to rock that vote.
Yeah.
Politics without economics is simple without substance. You ain't paying nothing. So he don't have to show up for you.
Yeah,
he's showing up for those who paying his ticket.
When I seen that, but
unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's sad when you see this, it's like, damn. But he said it. He said it when, and you know, he already says that his votes was the white vote.
And Minister Mickey, we talk about this a lot. The last time you was here, maybe it was the first time. What did they say about how something it was similar in Detroit, like we had here in Flint.
20%.
20% of black votes, and we'll handle the rest, or something
Yeah,
like
20%
that.
of the black vote.
I think I was talking about
Was that the mayoral race?
the mayoral race of Coleman Young Jr.
Okay.
against Mike Duggan.
Right.
And I was sitting with
And Mike
two
Duggan was a write-in.
at the time.
Okay.
No, this was the second term, I
Second
believe
term?
it was.
Okay.
But at the time, I was with two of our great politicians, and they said, well, Coleman Young just needs to get maybe 30%.
Right.
Because if he gets 30%, definitely he won't win, but it will send a message to white people that Mayor Duggan doesn't have a hold on the city like they think that he has.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then that makes them not so apt to put money in, because if I can't trust it, you know, I can't put my money in it.
Right.
If Detroit will go up with a match like it has in the past, I can't invest money in it. So I need to know that the people are buying into this man before I start investing dollars.
Right.
You know, and that's what, I guess that's true. It would be true at any city. I have to show that the people are with me, and I'm going to be in charge for quite some time so that you can make the investments and we can see the investments through. And that's the whole hustle piece of it that we don't see, or that we kind of negate from our minds. Like Democrats, Republican, it's a hustle for people to make money.
It is.
When you talk about wars and how they
Yep.
bomb places and places are in war, and then America comes in and get the contracts to rebuild the area. Money. So it's all hustle. War is hustle. You know, the desire, you know, if you look at Congo right now, people don't talk about the Congolese war that's been going on for years. Over 6 million people have been murdered in this war.
Wow.
And then you consider that in the Congo, those are the greatest mineral reserves in the world. So you understand now, when you know that, it's a hidden hand behind it all.
Right.
We got to be able to see wider, deeper, outside, but we also have to see wider and deeper inside as to who we are and our personal responsibility. And that a vote or a politician, they're not going to bring me through.
We keep looking for people to save us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not going to happen.
You got to save
We
yourself.
got to save ourselves. We do.
No, yeah, you're right. Because if you look at it, we getting the same thing. They run here every 4 years, and politicians, they
Do a line dance, to put on some buffs.
Church, they go, yeah, and that kills me. Like I said it.
I know.
When Brother Mays was living. When Gretchen Whitmer came here, they was all doing that hustle. And I told him this when he was living, man, how can y'all do that? Y'all make us look bad. And I got nothing but great respect for the man, because he was a true fighter for Flint. But the game that you had to play, I don't know how to can play that game. When I'm telling you, how we had all them people, our council people here when Kamala Harris was here, 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. They all doing this and that, but yet the water poison. Got to have a cancer cluster study here. Well, are you going on 11 years? Come next year, come April, we'd be 11 years.
And we're just going to keep celebrating and celebrating.
We got a mayor
commemorating.
The most tested water. When what is it?
EPA,
EPA saying it's below levels. The water is not good, but they telling you put a filter on your water. It's just not lead in the water. It's other chemicals that's in the water that's causing killing us, all these different cancers. My uncle went from stage one to stage 4 in about 90 days, and ended up dying from it. Unbelievable. These cancers, how you going, and they telling you got a year, you wiped out in about 90 days. We sent the rashes on the people with the water. Turn the water on, it's still smelling, but yet.
And who's the voice for that in Flint? Because, in reality, the rest of the world thinks that it was resolved.
Because
the rest of the world thinks that it's been taken care of. You understand what I'm saying? Because you remember how everybody was coming here. Money was being sent from all over. And I don't know who was getting it, but different people were getting it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So people think, okay, I did a good thing. I made it happen. Aretha Franklin, before she passed away, she told Judge Mathis, I want you to make it happen down there. Yep. And he did what she asked him to do. But they think that it was completed, right?
Yeah.
So who's bringing it where? No, this job ain't done.
Well, you got the governor, Gretchen Whitmer, went on the Breakfast Club and said the water was fixed. And they didn't even check her, from Charlemagne, DJ Envy, and what's the young lady name on there? I can't think of her name.
The new one.
The new one.
She Jess Hilarious.
Yeah.
Then nobody check her on it.
Mm-hmm.
So how does she boost the mayor up when he running around saying the water good, but yet we seeing they got to do a cancer cluster study here? It's like, are you serious? Nobody
is anybody
called her
doing,
out.
you know, I guess this is where you have to use social media outlets and things like that to get that drum back up.
And
You know
we
what I mean?
we do, but when you got the top leaders saying that it's fixed and the low people saying it's not fixed, who you think Washington is gonna believe?
The NAACP. I don't hear none of the Black Lives Matter. Now I don't see none of them running. You know what I'm saying? Doing protests. I'm
Well,
just
they
being
ran when
real.
Jesse came here.
But like I
Jesse
said,
who?
Jackson.
Mr. Jackson.
It
When
was
was
just
he here?
about a week ago.
Last week he was here.
Last
He did the photo
Tuesday and
op.
Wednesday.
I know he
Yeah.
wasn't. He hasn't been in best condition.
Nah, and you see
Parkinson's.
this BS
You know.
today. Drag this man
Yeah.
out to do photo ops.
Mhm.
To do a photo op. They did this. That's what, like,
And that's not good. You know, I saw him recently at the funeral of the minister's daughter. And, you know, he was in a wheelchair.
that's
He
what
was
he
in a
was
wheelchair, yeah.
But for the party to kind of use him like that, you know, it's not a good thing.
But yeah, these are the
Here
people
we
they
are.
want us to vote. And then if you call, like right now, what I'm doing, I know, you know, because some of the people that usually be tuning in, they probably not saying nothing because they heated about this. We supposed to say Kamala.
Right. I don't see. I'm like, Sister Taliba, where is everybody at from yesterday?
Kamala, you just got to vote Democrat. Like, you don't even supposed to do no critiquing on this side.
Well, you got to have balance, though. I think people want to hear balance, where if we say, well, we're not voting Democrat, you know, you got to touch the Republican side, too, because they ain't been nothing. You know what I mean? Neither side has served us.
Yeah.
So now you got to look, okay, what's my best interest? And that's where you have to really be involved in a political process
Right.
that showed nothing for us.
Right.
Right. So, you know, I don't pick either side. I mean, I definitely would never vote for Trump.
Facts.
You know, because he's shown us who he is in his words, you know, and some of his desires. But, you know, I'm not going to say in the same sense that Democrats have given us anything. So, you know, it's a challenge, man. And I think each person has to come to a conclusion. You know, I can look at a black woman and say, okay, I got a black mother.
Right.
I got black sisters.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I'm going to lean in that way. Right. Definitely that. But we should be proper in questioning, what have you done for me lately?
And
you know, what have you delivered on? Let's go down the line. What have you delivered on? But we can do it to both parties. Right. What have you delivered on?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's like they don't expect us to ask for anything, and we don't ask for anything. I mean, they got so bold a few years ago. They just put up signs.
Parties
that said,
with
vote.
Chicken and
give you some, you know, line dancing. Put on your, like I said, put on your buff.
Play the saxophone. You know.
Like when I see somebody like Fat Joe, don't get me wrong, I like him as a rapper. When I see him with Chris, what's the Republican? Chris.
Oh, they got Fat Joe too.
Man, they had Fat Joe.
They got Fat Joe too.
They had Fat Joe talking. I was sitting up here, man. I damn near fell out. I said, this Negro here.
But just the mindset to think that we're led by rappers. You know what I mean? Just to think that we're led by rappers.
Well, they think, you know, that's all they do is play sports and then rap.
Did you see the clip where Trump called up some Mexican rapper and he thought it was a woman, but it was a man? I forget the name. You know, or they go to these cities and pull these rappers as though rappers are the leaders in our community. You know, it's crazy that they think that low of us.
Right.
But we be out.
Yeah, we crazy too.
It hypes us up.
When I seen Luke
Skywalker,
I said, nah, man, throw that D. Throw that P. I'm just naming some of his sons. Nasty as you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
This one, and whooped his women. Go back and watch Brother Marquise. Look how he did them. Brother Marquise was really a conscious brother, but they didn't put that out there. When he got there, first time he seen him, Luke, he went in, just look how he is. But this who you think I'm finna follow? Like, I'm gonna listen to him? No. I'm just saying this like you get a conscience. Now they want to say, oh, well, you know, when you get up here, you go to, you know, when you're dealing with these people, look, you should have been speaking out. See, what they ain't saying when they did come out the Suge Knight, Jay Prince, Irv Gotti, that's when they wanted to start talking about doing their own label distribution. Then it become a problem. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Suge no saint, but I will say this. A lot of them guys that we look at, and if it wasn't for him, who would have brought Snoop out? Because nobody else brings Snoop out.
I mean, you got to look at the whole picture, right?
Yeah,
you got to look at the whole picture.
This, regardless of however you say. We can say this, but who brought him to the forefront? Snoop would have still been in Long Beach.
And you got to consider they're young men, right? Yeah. When they start off in this thing, they're young men. They're doing things that young men do, you know, and then in the process, they learn and they grow. And, you know, then they do what they can. You know, I remember hearing Jay-Z said, I can't help the poor if I'm one of them, but I got rich and gave back. To me, that's the win-win, right? And you see a lot of our young superstars doing that, you know what I mean, where they figure it out. And they figure out the hustle of the game. And when they did come to that conclusion, or at least started the discussion to begin to distribute their own, it's a great lecture that people should listen to. It was at the Jack the Rapper convention where the minister talked about, you know, if you are over, you know, you New York, say Puffy, New York, Suge, California, this one over here, Master P in Louisiana, you know, we distribute that. You can distribute us in Louisiana. We can distribute you in California, you know, and so on and so forth. And that's when you start cutting out the middleman and everything. But when that happens, that's when the response comes. That's what you were talking about with Puffy earlier. You know, I remember the minister talked about, you know, how we talk about sellouts and stuff like that. But he talked about Jackie Robinson being the first black to play in Major League Baseball. But he said Jackie Robinson was drawn out, right? Because the Negro leagues were building up. We were supporting our own. We traveling city to city doing that thing. But by them starting to pull the stars out of that, you know, it pulls us over to them. You know, and it happens over and over and over again with us. And we're caught up in it. And that's again, you got to shake it. And you got to really figure out what we want to do.
But minister, we'll have the people. And like you said, we always backing somebody else instead of doing for ourselves. But when we do for ourselves, like you said, we do. Sellouts are real. You know, we got people that really want to create a black agenda, but have it funded by the white man. That don't even make sense at all.
It doesn't make sense.
And that was here.
What Ice Cube say about NWA? How you call yourself the nigga for life crew with a white Jew telling you what to do? You know, I mean, it was stuff that clear, right? But I mean, we can do it, right? That's one example that the Nation of Islam gives you. That don't mean everybody got to join the Nation of Islam, but the Nation of Islam shows a structure can be built. Where our law, we deal with one another. If I'm in violation of the law, I get dealt with by somebody in the mosque. You know what I mean? We have a structure where you have to do this, you have to do that. We give to the structure. The minister is not backed by cool cigarettes, malt liquor companies. When you come to our conventions, you don't have no signs of who's sponsoring, because we sponsor ourselves with our own money. You understand what I'm saying? So it's a sign of what we can do. And like I said, you don't have to join the Nation of Islam to do it, but you can look at that structure and study that structure, and it shows you that it can be done. When he called the Million Man March, you had over 1 million men there. And for 24 hours, No reports of violence amongst those black men. No reports of weed smoke in the air. No, you know what I mean? They wasn't drinking. It wasn't no dances there. It wasn't nothing crazy going on for 24 hours. So if you could do it for 24 hours, you could do it for 48. If you could do it for 48,
You can do it for 72.
you do exactly. You had black businesses there. They were supporting one another. You know what I mean? So it can be done. Now, that's over 1 million. Detroit only got 700,000 people.
Facts.
How many people in Flint?
78, 78.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Right.
if you could do it amongst 1 million
Right.
of those who they say are the worst,
Right.
then you could do it in your city. You know what I mean? With the right word and the right, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just the right spirit being created. So these are signs that this thing, we can do it. It can be done. It can be achieved. You see guys like you mentioned Kanye West earlier, the Jay-Z's, the Suge Knights. These guys in America
Right.
reach billionaire status
Found a way.
with all the odds stacked against them.
Found a way.
So it shows us that we can do it. But are we willing to do what it takes?
That's true. Nobody wants to put in the work. Nobody wants to start from the bottom.
No,
They just want to come right in and just be on top.
Yeah.
And it
'cause-
doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it's crazy like how you see it, because even with the Negro League, where you think they got halftime show from? That came from the Negro League.
There you go.
That they don't even when they because I ain't gonna lie, my old man used to tell me that story because he was big into baseball. Man, he used to say they brought up Jackie Robinson because he said there was some other brothers, because people got to understand Jackie Robinson took some heat. Who I love, who spoke on it was Reggie Jackson. When
Yeah,
he was
just
at the
recently.
halftime,
Yeah.
Earlier this year, when he said how racist baseball was, when they was down in Alabama, see a big segment of United States act like they forget that. What went through. They just want to.
They want to forget it, right?
They
That's
just
why
don't
want
want
it
you.
out
They
the
don't want you to
history
tell the
book.
story.
They want that out the book. They want to just throw that out, but they acting like shit to me. When Dennis Byrd, the congressman from West Virginia, remember when Obama got sworn in, he left out in the ambulance. He fell out because they was like the Negroes then took over. That was just one man.
Right.
When they saw he got sick, he got sick. What about the other ones was probably turning over in their grave? Looking at he got up in there. But
everybody was clapping, wasn't happy.
Yeah, that's what it's like. To me, it's like they hate that this thing might get a little browner.
Yeah, Colin Kaepernick, for instance.
Facts.
You know, the ability, but the ability of the black athlete to say, we're not coming to work today. If they did it for one day,
shut it down.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And we have the ability to do it.
Yep.
But it's a mentality that they give these guys once they get in there, man.
Right.
I never thought
where they
about
controlling
that.
the purse strings.
If they said, we're not dribbling no basketball today.
Just today.
Just
but
one day.
Who could have stopped them? This is why I look at LeBron, when I look at them athletes, when I say they weak. Because they could have stopped the NBA playoffs. When that stuff happened, we not playing. See, we don't use our force. We go for other things. Colin Kaepernick. All the black players, we not playing. Since y'all did this to him, that's what I get what you saying. Right. When you say the unity is more than atomic bomb. Because they could have crippled them. But they never do. They just, because they like them big houses.
But now, I don't like throwing the names out.
Yeah.
But you gonna do it.
Well, I do admire LeBron James in the aspect that he always speaks on the topics.
Yep.
Now, maybe he don't go across the line, right?
Yes.
I admire him because his agent is a black man. You know what I mean? And they changing the game and that. They hate that, bro.
That's homeboy.
Yeah, they hate that, right?
He didn't have to go to
right, exactly. And he changing the game. Yep, he changing the whole game when they start seeing us do it and do it better than them. But it's that power that we have that we just don't utilize.
I don't think we know within ourselves how much power.
They know how much when they negotiate for them contracts. When they negotiate for an extra $2 million, they know. You know what I mean? And it's just, I guess, getting all of them to buy on. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we all gonna do it. You can't be like 3 guys and like, yeah, we gonna do it, or you gonna end up out. You know, your whole family living off you. You know what I mean? You done get all these bills. You like, God damn. You know, I don't know about that. But if everybody did it, you know, if we all took off that one day, if just Monday Night Football, I mean, I'm sure we can look at the numbers and see how much money they make per game. Right. And if a team just said, we're not going on the field until this, that, and the other. You know, or even just to get a message out, like we're not going on the field until Flint water is together. You know how that would go across America,
would be here today fixing it
during the playoffs. Yeah, millions of dollars for ads,
billions.
NCAA just for the March Madness, just March Madness. Ain't nothing but 30 days, billions generated. Just with them play. No, we not going. Watch how you'll see stuff. Because I remember my uncle was saying that during the George Floyd, when they thought they weren't going to do the playoffs, they had a chance to stand up then. But I get it, because all you got to do is look when the NFL, when they be having them strikes. Man, after about 30 days, them players be broke, because some really be living game check to check.
Yeah, because NFL is rough. Yeah, you know, I got a brother in our mosque, brother Chris, and, you know, their contracts be bold, bro.
Fact.
They might average 3 years playing, 3 or 4 years. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you got to imagine a young brother coming there, whole family living off of him. I had a brother call me. I didn't even know who the brother was. He's like, listen, Brother Troy. I said, what's up? He said, I got an opportunity. Young man, my nephew, he coming to Detroit to play. I want you to look out for him. So I picked the brother up from the airport. Brother ain't got no deodorant, no soap, nothing, man. He going to play for an NFL team.
Damn.
So I get a brother all the stuff that he need, man. But I saw that his family was already scheming on his money, man. They couldn't even get a guy enough care packages to get going so he could be in the best position to succeed. So these young men come in and you already got people pulling on you.
Facts.
So when you say, man, we got to stand up for the black man. He like, you know what I mean?
They ain't standing up for me.
I can't, you know, but it's a process. I mean, but we have to get to that mentality where we're strong enough and we know, man, and we have the right agents, like a black agent who can, okay, I'm with you. Because you got a white agent, he like, no, we're not going to do that. You know, we're not going to shake the boat. You know what I mean?
Right. But I got a question for you and Mickey, for both of y'all. So when we're talking about the mentality and holding back, like you said, for a game or March Madness, what happened when Rosa Parks, they had that bus boycott and the conditions that they was living back then, picking cotton, segregation.
They wasn't picking cotton.
Well, you know what I'm saying, but segregation talked about. Nigga, this, you can't come in this door. You can't sit here. And she just said, damn it, I had enough. I'm tired. And everybody came in and joined with her and shut the bus system down. What happened? We got to get treated so bad till we stand up.
What was an idea this time had come, right? Where one sister, she didn't plan on all of that happening around her. You know, she was a very humble sister. I met her when I was in high school. I walked in my counselor's office and she was sitting there. And I walked past and
Rosa Parks.
So you Rosa Parks, right? And she smiled. But she was a humble sister, right? By all admissions of people who knew her. I didn't know her. I just met her that time. She didn't plan on that. She just was tired of it herself. And then the Dr. Kings came in and, you know, they stood with it, right? And then they were able to galvanize the people in that area. We ain't riding the buses. We're not doing it anymore. So I guess it's a moment where, you know, all the things align right. And everything happens just right, where the people are on that same page. Right. I mean, the Million Man March was that, right? It's like, it was just the right time when the minister made that call. You know, 70% of the people that were there weren't Muslims.
Right.
They were Christians.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and if you go back to that time, Jesse Jackson and people like that, they were criticizing the march all the way up until the day of.
Yeah.
And when they saw that 1 million men were there, then they called the minister. Can I speak? Can I do
Can I
that?
come up
And
there
he
with
was
you?
kind enough to let them, right? And that's that moment, right? We got to find that moment again. You know what I mean? And it happens when you have maybe just a few. Like Malcolm X used to say, all you need to do is light the wick. You know, the wick is the smallest piece of the, you know, the dynamite stick.
Right.
But if the wick could be lit, you know, then a change, a big explosion can take place. So we're looking for that, you know, but it happens when you have people like yourself, people, you know, who do shows like this, who get information out, and then you inspire others. So it might be somebody listening right now who may be inspired by it. And then they become that person, right? So as long as we don't give up, we keep pressing. Like it was mentioned that the Black Panthers, you know, that group assassinated.
Yeah, and locked him up.
Fred Hampton assassinated, you know, and nobody's answering for this.
Right. Like it's like, and they act like that didn't happen. That's just something we got to look over. When you had, when we look at the FBI, we trumped up charges. That's why I like Trump to all that. The Black community been getting hit with that charges that it made up. Just be trying to free their people. When you go look lunch program, where you think the schools got that from? That come from teenagers, young people that was saying how they was did wrong, but we posted like, oh, that ain't no problem. I'll be looking at some of these politicians. I love especially the ones that be showing their racism. Well, they, you know, the big thing now as far as reparations. That it's too late for that. Wow. But that money you giving to Ukraine and Israel, that's like reparations. But you know, it just seems like when it comes to us, even our own people, our biggest critics, we gotta wait. We gotta do all, even with Kamal. I'm not just doing nothing for blacks. Wow. You got an Asian hate crime bill. I even seen people justify, well, that was what Asians was going through at the time. What the fuck?
Man, I ain't never met no black man or black woman to be like, let's mess that Asian up. Let's whoop him up. Let's go round up some Jews and whoop them up. They got Jewish crimes and they talking about how Jewish crimes against Jews have risen. I've never met a brother who be like, you know, let's go whoop some Jews or something. You know what I mean?
Black people.
And that's what I'm saying. They just overlook. We've been getting whooped. You can name all the stuff that's been going on, but we'll put that to the side. But you got this hate bill here, this hate bill here. Like, wow, what about our bill?
So Project 2025 has been going on.
Facts.
Right?
And
we haven't benefited.
Right.
And we have to turn a corner somewhere, man.
Yeah.
We have to decide, you know, this plane is crashing. You know what I mean? And we need to get ourselves some parachutes and do the things that we need to do. So we can, you know, plant some seeds for a new way and a new direction, man. Right. When you look at that Congress and Senate that you were talking about, just looking at the makeup of that being the majority white males, you know, it says they're not even interested in the conversation. And then they're white males are of a certain age group.
Facts.
You know what I mean? So the conversation ain't even taking place.
Right.
You know, a fair conversation ain't even taking place. You know what I mean? Because our peers aren't there.
Right.
You know what I mean? The peers of the younger generation ain't there. You know, if somebody was really sincere about equal representation, then you would see equal representation. You know, so this country don't want good for us.
No.
You know, and we can't be so in love with this country that we go down with it. We can't be so engaged in this country that we think, okay, my vote is going to make a change. Not considering our whole past shows that that's not true.
Yeah, like how much
on either side.
Yeah, how much more do you need when they say
how much more proof, right?
Well, 2024. I don't know if the young brother got hung or not, but they saying he did. But they was found with a what's name?
The man that just got lynched.
We don't know. Yeah, I'm saying, you know, one side said it wasn't, another side said it was something. But we still know he dead.
And we still know they got them sundown
towns here in the state of Michigan. Sundown towns here in the state of Michigan. But they want they
But now, you know, black people so crazy. We got some sundown towns too. white people can't come to certain cities and
be
be out after dark. I mean, you gotta have some equality in the situation. In some places they like, I ain't gonna be there after dark. You know what I mean? You know, them people so crazy. You know,
maybe like certain parts of Compton,
yeah, we got here at the Regency. We ain't going over that sundown.
Get out. Going over there.
But we equal equality, criminals in that aspect when they do it intentionally to us, you know.
Primo said he live in Louisiana. We got sundown neighbors. All right, Primo.
And he ain't lying. But it's when you consider, if we dig a bit deeper, you have militias that are being formed all over this state in particular, where they're buying guns and they're preparing. When you looked at what they did in their own capital, that shows the mentality that they have when they would fight each other. So just consider, what they would do when it comes to us in cities like this, where you have Black people concentrated in an area like Flint.
Right.
And the information that goes outside is that them niggas ain't nothing. It's trifling, they this, they that. Right. Then you see on the minister talked about it with movies like Minister Society, Boys in the Hood, how they put these movies out and then Black people are presented a certain way to the world.
Right, so that's what they think.
So they think all of us are like that. Yeah. So when they start doing things to us, they show these rap videos where we looking crazy. Mm-hmm. We just had a video where the sisters took over a city bus and was twerking on the bus. The bus stopped in the middle of the city, women standing up on the bus twerking. These videos go all over the world. Mm-hmm. People say, yeah, them niggas crazy. Yeah.
That's all they want.
So when they try to do what's being done over in Palestine right now to us, the world says it's justified.
Right.
So we're being set up and we have to change that.
Right.
By setting ourselves up properly.
All you hear, we need more police. When they come in, and we can say something, we know these police, when they put that picture up, man, listen, I watched some of these police, and these was kids that they sicked on back in the day. Mm-hmm. And I want to say their name. They terrorized our neighborhoods, let me tell you. I done watched police whoop my cousins them butt when they was like 15, 16, take their money. And, later on, they back out on the block. We done seen these things to go on. Mm-hmm. Some of these are still living us in the neighborhood. They're still like they forgot what they did. We supposed to sit up and be like, and it was our own. It looked like me and you.
Well, hell, we fighting through that now, right downtown at City Hall. When we go to our council meetings.
Right.
The only thing they had the dogs down there. Then they had 9 police officers taking out people. I mean, the only thing they had brought out was the water hose. And they're not giving them no ideas.
But more police is to make them feel safe around us or to keep us in check. Because if the idea was to make
on us.
But if the idea was to make it a safer, decent community, instead of asking for more police, you would ask for more schools.
Right.
You would ask for a better educational system. Right. You would ask for an expanded educational system, right? Because police, I mean, they can't guard against murder.
No.
Because murder starts on the inside. Mm-hmm. Rape, it comes from the mind.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the idea would be to work to change the mindset.
Right.
Right. And then to create an environment where the poverty ain't there the same. You know what I mean? If somebody says something, it sounded simple, but I said, God, man, that makes sense. She said, if we wanted to feed everybody, we just plant more fruit trees all over the place. I'm like, God damn.
That makes sense.
I'm like, that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's just certain things like that, like homelessness, right?
Right.
Build a big shelter. You have the money to do it. You know what I mean? To have a place for them to go.
Fact.
You know what I mean? So it's the ability is there. But like we're taught in the Nation of Islam, the area of water is 139,685,000 square miles. 75% of the earth is water.
Right.
Why do we have a water bill? You know what I mean? It's enough producing land.
Right.
To grow enough food to feed everybody.
Right.
Why is it starvation? You know what I mean? So you have all these greedy entities
Facts.
taking advantage of the stuff that, God made a perfect earth. to serve the people perfectly. But then you have all these greedy monsters coming in.
We talk about this every day.
And it creates the poverty that we see.
Yeah.
It creates the want that we see. It creates the need that we see. Then you have a few who flossing a bit more than the others, and they're not taught to handle their emotions,
Right.
or handle jealousy and envy. So then you get shootings and robbery. You know, it's a bigger picture, and we got to change.
And the change needs to start now. November is right around the corner. We know people gonna go.
What you
vote.
gonna do if it got to start now? What you gonna do?
I'm gonna start talking to the people now and telling the people all across the nation that watch us, we got to start developing our own system.
Mhm.
Because, like I said, and I've said it before, I said it today, I said it yesterday. This system was not designed for us.
Mhm.
It's not going to work for us. We can't keep looking for a government that's trying to keep us poor to save us. They're not gonna save us and they're not gonna do both.
You can see, I was looking when that discussion they were having about bringing down insulin costs, right? To like, I think they capped it at $32 or something a week.
Somebody has
But the
said
original price was like 400 and some
Yeah.
dollars. And it's like,
Yeah.
how are you allowing the healthcare industry to tax human beings like that? I mean, just if you go across the board, I'm sure all the medicines are way higher than what they're forcing us to pay for.
Absolutely.
So our health is suffering.
But
And you
that's
got a
business
McDonald's on
too.
every corner. Right. You got a
That's-
McDonald's and a Wendy's and a White Casket and all of these places
Mhm.
on every corner that's contributing to your sickness.
So you can go and get the medicine, and Big Pharma, they gonna get richer.
Right.
And we gonna keep going to get them Big Macs.
Yeah. So you caught up in a system where you wake up, you go to the same job, you do 8 to 10 hours a day. You wore out when you get off. Friday, you get the check. The check that you use, you go to the same gas station you hit every week, the same grocery store. And then you barely have enough to get through to the following week. And that process goes on over and over and over again. And you don't even realize you up in a matrix. You in a system. And you're looking for somebody, you know something ain't right. It don't feel right. It don't feel energetic. You don't feel great.
Right.
You just going through motion. And they want to keep it like that. So anybody who stands up in that and rears their head, that's the person they attack.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the leaders that are on that page that stand up and say, no, this ain't how it is, those are the ones they attack because they don't want the masses to be awakened
And
to
that's
something,
true.
to the hustle.
That's
Yeah,
true. If they
that's
can't
what it
buy you
is.
out, then they attack you.
No, it's the hustle. No, because I'm just sitting back like it's the great hustle when you see how it's going on. Because I remember the minister saying, I forgot what it was, but it was some years ago when he was talking about a Republican get in and a Democrat get in. The Republican finna undo what the Democrat did. Then when the Democrat get in, he finna undo. That's not just. What type of system is that
just
being
going-
just when I might did some good things for the Republicans. I'm a Republican. Then you get in, you're a Democrat. You're going to do, but you finna undo everything. Because that's basically what Trump did from what Obama.
Or
You know what I'm
tried to
saying?
do.
What he was trying
Right.
to undo. But like most people don't understand, it take your second term to really to undo. Because Obama had 2 terms.
Mhm.
His first 4 he was doing, and this last 4 he probably got to implement more of his stuff. That's like why you think Kamala, they want Kamala in. Let me
Right.
get her name right, because they'll kill me in the chat. I'm gonna say Vice President here. They be tripping. But and to me, it's like, what do they think she finna do when she get in? That's the big thing. Like, what do the people think that Kamala finna do when she get in?
Or different people. I remember it was mentioned about Obama.
Right.
And somebody asked the question, well, what did he do for black people?
Right.
And I heard it said, it might have been the minister, but I don't want to not, give a false quote. But it was said that at the very least, he showed black people their potential, right?
Facts.
That you can rise to the highest seat in this government. You know what I mean? That you're not regulated to nothing, right?
Right.
Right.
That you could be more. Now, of course, the mentality, to be able to see somebody that looks like you in a certain position lets you know you can do that. Right. I can do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And this thing ain't holding me back.
Right.
So, like what we were saying about a Kanye West who says, I'm Walt Disney.
Right.
The hell you talking about?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
His mind was expanded to the point I could do anything I want to do, man. You can't keep me out of this fashion industry.
I make my
You know
own
what I mean?
stuff.
I'm going to make these shoes. This is the price I'm putting on them. Now tell me, it's different from what y'all doing. So, I mean, I do think that it helps expand the thinking.
Right.
Not that person in particular, they may not do anything to help you. But when you're able to see somebody that looks like you, like, man, we've been tied to this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And we're not, we're only 100 and some years up from slavery. We forget about that. Slavery wasn't that far off. You know what I mean?
Well, they want us to forget about that.
Yeah, but it wasn't that far off.
Right.
So for us to be in this society and we like lapping them,
Right.
after being oppressed for so long, we lapping them. And when, when you look, if you just compare her to Trump,
Right.
she's way more qualified.
Right.
Facts.
So we're lapping them. Now, if she has the mentality to save us or help us or put the programs in place, that's a whole different conversation.
Right. That's what I'm.
You know what I mean? That's what you're addressing. And that's
Right.
what, a lot of people want to know. But it's like, man, we're showing them they can't mess with us, man.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? We like, man,
yeah,
we
in
incredible in
perspective,
that
I can
aspect,
see,
man.
Seeing on that, I can see that.
You got these street brothers coming up being CEOs of record companies, and you know what I mean, just showing like, no, I ain't go to school for this.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm figuring it out though, and they figuring it out. Right. Okay, I'm gonna promote your liquor brand, but then I want to do my own,
Right.
and start to understand this and understand the value and ownership and things like that. So it allows us to change a game, and we doing it from the bottom, like from the whole hustle piece.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And like I said, you don't see Japanese or Chinese politicians. You don't see Indian politicians. You don't see even Arab politicians.
Mm-hmm.
But they all have influence in this society.
Right.
And it's because they did things properly. They dealt with self first, and start building up themselves and their own communities. And you can find pockets of these communities where you only see them.
And
you only
that's
see
a
them.
great point. That's where I was about to go. Chicago, New York, like you see Chinatown.
Chicago Chinatown is crazy.
I
was taking videos there telling people I was in Japan, like, just touchdown. You know what I mean? It was, that's how crazy it is. Everything is written in their language. And you'll be in the hood and just run right into it like, man, where we at?
Right,
you know what I mean?
But that's what we don't, where ours at. We accept everybody in our community, but everybody don't accept us in their community.
Do we have any stores in Chinatown and Chicago?
I'm just telling you, we'll let everybody move into our community, but everybody won't let us move into their community.
Nope.
That's how come.
And I don't understand why we just allow that and accept it.
Because we're beautiful people. We don't judge based upon what we see.
Yeah.
Because we've been judged, right? So it changes our mindset. You know what I mean? We're not racist because we've been the victims of racism. You know what I mean? So like I said, you don't hear black people saying, we're going to go beat up some homosexuals. So we're going to go beat up some, it's not like that. The last time I heard, let's go beat up some white people was when Roots came out. You know what I mean? We was kids going to school, like the next morning, like, oh man.
Right.
But
right.
With that, that's what's going to qualify us to be good rulers when our time comes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's something that's developing in us just to be better, not to go low, but to go higher. But we got to get there.
Sister Maria, we don't even have grocery stores in each area by the time.
Because I don't want people to think this was a bash, because I seen one person thinking this was a bash, Kamala here. No, it's not. It's just telling the truth on what we think of what's going on.
I mean, well, Kamala called you a racist. No, he's not a racist.
And called him a rapist. Now, how cold is that?
Call who a rapist?
Joe Biden.
I didn't hear that.
But you know what that's? Oh, that's politics. You call me a rapist. You think we finna be back cool? You call me a rapist, a racist and a rapist, but we back cool. That's what I'm saying. People don't want to. See, you can't bring this up and say none of this. And you know what I'm saying. You don't pose to critique nobody. That's
All
what
the
I'm
black
starting
people
to
that
find out.
said Trump was racist
They was
now,
hanging with Trump
but they
at
was
one time.
hanging with him.
The Clintons took money from him.
Now, I was able to talk to Russell Simmons.
Oh, tell me about
And I had a book that Russell Simmons gave me years ago. And Donald Trump did the opening for the book. He did the foreword. So I was able to ask Russell about Donald Trump. You know, this was the last time Trump ran. And Russell said, that's not the same man that I knew. He's not that same guy. You know? And that was his real assessment. Like, the Donald Trump I knew before wasn't the guy that I'm seeing right now. You know? So, I mean, people go through processes. And in politics, people become oftentimes who they're not.
Right. They change.
Right? And I'm not saying that a billionaire would even understand black people in the sense where he can't be racist.
Right.
Right? Because he hadn't been exposed to us, except for in a master slave type situation where he, you know, the pictures that we would see of him would be with him and Mike Tyson, him and Michael Jackson, somebody always that are working for them, you know, or an entertainer. So the mentality might be that they're entertainers, you know, and then we start chasing the money and our rappers start talking about Trump and doing this, like, you know, so it was that type of relationship. But I just don't think.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What did you think about when I know Mickey talks about it a lot when Ice Cube went to Trump and talked about the platinum package and we just beat him up? Like, that's what I'm saying. When we go and ask for something, we get beat up. Oh, why you go to Trump and ask for anything? Trump does.
You're talking about the contract with America. I think that's what Ice Cube was trying to put together.
He was trying to get something they was calling the platinum package.
I think Ice Cube's, you know, and I've talked to him.
I'm saying, like,
I talked
people,
to him.
so.
And I didn't talk to him about this. I know where his heart is. You know, I know, you know, Ice Cube has been affiliated a lot with the Nation of Islam. He loves Minister Farrakhan. He loves the teachings. He has always been a balanced young man, smart. I see him with his 3-on-3 league, you know, which is his desire to create our own league, right? But again, our people aren't supporting it like that, right? So he doesn't have the backing. So now he has to go to different companies to get backing and sponsorship and stuff like that. When he's really trying to create a league with health insurance for the players, he's hiring, you know, the last time he came, I was able to meet, you know, he got a lot of different coaches, former black coaches, college coaches, strength conditioners that are black, you know what I mean? And he's giving those who may not have made money and, you know, they might have got hurt before they got out of college, giving them opportunity, you know, so he's a good brother with a good heart. I think maybe he rolls it out too late in the game. It's like, you know, don't wait till, like you said, the fourth quarter, like at the last minute, start talking about it. You could have did this at the beginning of the presidential run and then pressed it for 4 years. You know, so when we get to that point, you got something, okay, this is what they offered. This is what they said. You know, Trump is meeting with people just to get votes. He's pardoning people from prison just to get votes. Like, you know, because he's thinking like that. Like, okay, if I let Kwame Kilpatrick out, I got Detroit votes. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Well, he let him out, but he didn't get the Detroit vote. Right? He thought it would get him some votes. You know,
you don't think they got that many votes in Detroit? People still
got Kwame Kilpatrick's vote, but you know, he didn't win. He didn't win the Michigan, right? And Detroit is key to that.
That's true.
But he thought that might push him over. You know, and he's gonna do it again. He's gonna do as much as he can to do what he can. And you know, as it was mentioned, that second term is the term where you can really see a person. Because that's when they're kind of able to do whatever they want to do. You know, so it's going to be interesting. But I think, you know, generally our people have to vote for God, number one. We have to consider our own self-interest. We have to get to a mentality where we're able to do for ourselves and build for ourselves, and all that other stuff is going to take course. You know what I mean? The involvement in local politics. You know, grooming people and picking people for these spots instead of just voting on whoever throw their name on the list.
Right.
Because right now, Democrat and Republican, they buying people.
So it is.
So if you're running and I don't want you to win, I may pay another sister to get in the race just to split the vote up.
And we see it.
This
all
is
the
happening
time.
all the time now.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
Yes,
They're
sir.
saying, okay, instead of me putting money in the ads, I could just throw somebody else in there
Yes,
who
sir.
could take
And split that
20%
vote
of her
up.
vote. You know
Yep.
what I mean? So, you know, it's a machine that we're fighting against. So we have to do for ourselves and create our own lane.
I agree.
That's the bottom line for me.
Mick, I know you got something built up
Nah,
inside.
he listen, he answered everything that I wanted to hear about, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? For people can get a better understanding on what's going on. They just hear from us and think we be goofing.
And I know,
around
and
a
I
lot.
usually interview him, but I
Yeah.
know you talk a
Nah.
lot like he
Yeah.
does. And I wanted this interaction between you and the minister today because you have a lot of good questions about some of the
Well,
same
that's the
stuff that he talks
interaction that
about.
we need, you know, especially amongst Black males.
Not the baby oil
this-
boys.
Yeah, and especially amongst Black males in this time period where
Right.
we're able to articulate the thoughts, right? Because nobody is hearing that,
Right.
Right.
you know, and they don't care to hear our perspective.
So dope.
So we have to find avenues where we can put our perspectives out, you know, and share them with others because everybody thinking the same way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like, okay, why should I do this? Why am I going in this direction?
Right. And they're just scared to talk about it. And that's
So,
all it is.
Project 2025, that's already in effect.
Facts.
So don't worry about that. You know what I mean? Don't let that make you fearful.
Right. Thank
You
you
know,
for saying that.
you know, what's going on in Palestine is a sign of what can go on here. So it's very important that we pay close attention to that. And it's very important that we stand against that because it's going to come here. And as Black people, if you look at the history, it has happened to us here.
Facts.
You know what I mean? They
I
bombed
never
our
thought
cities.
about
They,
that
you know,
that
they
way.
bombed
Never thought about
Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They bombed, you know, they tore
Philadelphia.
down Rosewood. They
Yeah.
bombed the MOVE facility in in Philly, the MOVE organization. So it's been happening here forever, the lynchings and the killings of our people for years and years. So it's happened here. So don't think it can't happen here.
Just like a test, like our water. If we can get away with poisoning the whole city,
That's
gonna try it again.
Right. That's a test.
Facts.
Let's see how long
far
we can go.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's a lot going on. The vaccines that we took, now it's coming out how people got different things now in their bloodstream that they didn't have before. And so many people have died based upon that. I mean, all of these things become tests. The food that we're eating. You know, I was in California and I went on a tour and I didn't know this, but in Beverly Hills, they don't allow fast food restaurants.
Facts.
They don't allow liquor stores in Beverly Hills.
Facts.
Oh. But
So-
we got them on every corner here.
We got them on every corner here.
Mhm.
And if you go to a suburb of this place, I'm sure you can find it's not the same.
No,
Facts.
that's
know.
very correct.
So that's strategic,
Mhm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
You come home from the plant, you tired as hell. Your children
pass-
acting up in school, whatever, man. I
You
need a
pass
drink.
15 liquor stores, you gonna stop at
I
one.
need- you know, right. So I mean, it's strategic, and it's happening in our communities. Any inner city, you can see it, and you can see the stress levels up,
Yeah.
and how that stuff contributes to what we see. You know, to the point where you might even, you know, we just had this terrible incident with a young lady in Detroit who was raped
Mm.
and murdered. I think she was 13,
I saw red on
and the man was 41.
that.
And he was invited in by a family member, you know, who he was dating. you know, and he had been grooming this young girl since the time she was 11, and there were other victims. But when you look at situations like this, you understand that a lot of people drop the ball, right? Because the person who invited them in, she might have just been looking for love, you know what I mean, trying to get a man, and she might have overlooked some of the signs, right? People who knew him, you know what I mean, they might have overlooked some of the signs,
right?
You know what I mean? It's like, dude, they 17. What you hollering at them for? You know what I mean? Just little things like that. Like you hanging with this guy and he hollering at young girls all the time. What's the problem, man? You know, and it's the same thing when you talk about the Puffy situation or the R. Kelly situation. All these people we see on the internet that's saying, yeah, he did this, he did that. Well, what did you do? If you knew he did that, what did you do?
If you was there watching, you can't tell me that you wasn't a part of it.
When they start convicting people for that, then people will shut up. You know what I mean? It'll change.
Just like that bodyguard to know everything that happened, but he didn't want nothing to do
with it.
He
has to be convicted if the stuff took place. I'm not saying it took place because I wasn't there. I'm just saying, you know, it's always strange to me that everybody who's complaining is broke. You know what I mean? It ain't never two rich people saying, hey, yeah, he did this, he did that, and the other. You know what I mean? It's always somebody who disgruntled or, you know, and they giving them a platform. You know, what's this girl's name? Jaguar Wright. You know, giving this clown lady a platform, man. And she was just a backup singer. So, but she know everybody in the industry. Like she was just laying like that. You know what I mean?
So she's saying everything.
Right.
You should be going to jail because if you knew this,
you didn't say nothing. You was silent.
All of them should go. If you, even a regular executive, you knew all this was going on. Just go back to our blues players like Bird. They gave them drugs to heroin. The managers did. They record companies knew this. When you see Leo Corn talking, they knew DMX was on crack.
What the hell they think all them heavy metal
that's how they was pushing drugs.
But that's how they control them. You know, like Billie Holiday was a good sign of a story. Elvis Presley was a sign of a story like that.
They don't talk about Elvis now.
Yeah, they kept him addicted. His manager, man. And then tied him to a contract in Las Vegas. Do you know Elvis never toured the world? As big as they make him seem nowadays, he never had the opportunity to tour the world because his manager was addicted to gambling. He owed Vegas so much money. So he made a contract. Yeah, the Colonel made a contract with Vegas that Elvis would stay there as in residency. You know what I mean? So it's not, and then he dies off the drugs that they're giving him. You know what I mean? And I'm just using him as an example, but that's what happens to a lot of our entertainers. You know, the Michael Jackson piece. I do think that he was assassinated in that aspect. But to be in a position where they're feeding you this drug, you know, or Prince where he has to take this drug, but Prince's wasn't even, you know, it wasn't prescribed. It was found to be in a bottle that wasn't prescribed to him. So, I mean, to keep, you know, our people addicted is something of control, as was mentioned. And it's the giving of gifts and tools, and I'm giving you cards. It's the same thing, you know, when you don't own none of it in the end. So, you know, we got to shake all of this, and we have to make each other aware of what we're looking at. And that's the importance of like agents like LeBron James agent. I forget his name. What's his name?
Maverick.
Okay. You know, guys like that who can really change the game and turn a corner. Or say Russell Simmons, who in retrospect is now sharing a bit more knowledge. You know, we just met Harry O, who came through, who was one of the hustlers who did Death Row. He has a different mentality, obviously, than what he had before. And if you look at some of these clips of Puffy talking about the liquor company and things like that, you can see that his mentality was changing. So, you know, a lot of these things we have to jump in on now and use it so we can do better for ourselves.
Absolutely. Yeah. You done? You got everything out?
Everything. Can't do it all in one day.
Yeah, we ain't done. We're just beginning.
We're just beginning.
We're just beginning.
We're going to have the Minister and Mix show.
Listen, make it happen. The brother ain't got nothing but wisdom that the city needs.
Yeah, the whole city, the
We
nation.
all thank the minister for that type of
Facts.
wisdom. We thank
Facts.
Malcolm and Dr. King and all of those who came before us, because we can extract from their wisdom to pass on to others. Because we just vessels, right?
Mhm.
Facts.
And but it's very important that when we come across jewels, that we pass them on to one another.
Absolutely.
Got it?
Not just hold it on the inside.
Okay, so
Die
when
with
you
it.
ready to run for office, come tell me.
Okay, I got you.
For sure.
Because that's the
Come
only
tell me.
way you're gonna change Flint. You got to change the leadership.
You got to change the leadership, the mentality of the people. It's a lot.
But once you change the leadership, that's the thing about the Million Man March. He was able to put his mind into those who heard him. So they got on the bus,
Right.
right? And got there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the mind of the leader who can, who gets the people to buy in.
Mhm.
Like, man,
Facts.
I could feel this person
Facts.
Right.
and I could
Right.
buy into that. We
Right.
just so tired of the same old thing. So
Yeah.
Kamala is coming and we like, man, it's the same old thing.
Yeah.
Trump saying the same old
And
thing.
that's all we
And
saying.
that's why when, I don't know if you remember, but when Obama ran the first time, if you remember the lines that was at the polls, it was crazy.
They was
You know what I
out
mean?
there lined up for
Yeah.
blocks, miles.
Yeah,
and
it was
miles.
crazy. You never
Yeah.
seen anything like that. And that was because,
Uh-oh.
we had that feeling.
We got a call. We're gonna take one call today. One caller. Okay, caller.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Hey, Sister Taliba.
Hi, this is Sister Taliba. I just wanted to say I agreed with everything that Minister Troy said today. I really appreciate his perspective, his knowledge, and his wisdom. And we were battling it out in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to say, and like we do every day, but I really wish the Black community would just respect each other's voting plans. If we're choosing to vote for Harris or choosing to vote for Trump, let it be. Or if we're choosing to boycott our vote, we should not be attacking each other.
That's true.
So
Thank you for that.
yes.
And
yes, sir.
I totally agree with that. You know what I mean? Politics can be private, right? You don't have to tear one down, because really, as Black people, we don't have a history of either side that we can lay down and say, he did this, he did that.
Right.
He put this together for us. You're not even in position to argue either side, Democrat or Republican. So you got to be able to go with your heart, right? And, if a person decides to go a certain way, that's your choice.
That's their choice.
You have the choice to do that.
Right.
So I'm not going to tear your choice down. But I'm a Black man, right?
Yes, you are.
And I came from a Black woman.
Mm-hmm.
My sisters are Black. Most of my teachers coming up with Black women. I only got one choice. It's not even a question. Because I know at the base, Black people have something special inside of them. And they may not be showing it right now in our presence, but it can always be tapped into. You know what I mean? I was selling drugs. I was doing all types of things that I shouldn't do in our community. You know what I mean? Selling drugs, knocking guys out, doing all this crazy stuff, unwarranted. So I was totally out of who I am, man.
Right.
But then I got a word that made me say, man, that ain't right. I have to do better. I have to love my brothers and sisters as I love myself. I have to be responsible to my community. So it to me, it shows that a person can change. And I think Black people, we just got something in us, man. Where the change is always good. If you got a Black grandmother, Black mother, you know what I mean? All of that is very important.
Got to be activated.
Mm-hmm.
Got to activate it within ourselves and quit looking, like you said, for somebody else to come and save us. That's it. That's it. And vote. We're not telling you who to vote for. We're telling you to vote. But the message that I want to make sure that's crystal clear, we got to start making these politicians earn our vote. Just quit giving it away. We should start right now preparing for the next 4 years. Getting our agenda together, getting what we want out there, because we don't ask for nothing, we don't get anything. And then we just sit and complain and we don't do anything about it. So we got a long ways to go, but it's never too late to start. But we got to start soon. Because like he said, Project 2025 is already here. They're not going to stop it. But I've been asking, where's the rebuttal to Project 2025?
Long as the bump ain't for Trump.
No,
That's the first place, right?
The bump ain't for Trump.
I can tell you that. The bump ain't for Trump.
The bump ain't for Trump.
That's the first place
We're a non-biased media network over here.
But I think that, of course, the rebuttal is for us to do better. There ain't no rebuttal. It's already been in effect. The rebuttals that you see came in the form of the Black Panther Party. The rebuttals you see comes in the form of a Nation of Islam. The rebuttals you see comes in the form of Black rebellion, right? Which we saw after the murder of our brother George Floyd.
Right.
You know what I mean? Those are the rebuttals. But then they pay people to come in and kind of calm those storms, right?
I'm saying, yes.
But so you're seeing rebuttals all over. Sometimes the rebuttals come, or most times, the violence that we see in our community is the rebuttal. Because we're being pressed so hard and we're going through so much that we strike out against those who are closest to us.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So it's just about shaking ourselves out of that and realizing it ain't no saving for us from somebody else. It's us and God.
That's it.
That's a real mentality to have. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That you're created in his image and likeness. And if you submit to him, it's not making you soft. It should make you stronger. You know, where you got eyes to see, ears to hear, a tongue to speak, a brain to think, hands to bring into fruition what you think. I told you I work in the Dearborn area. I see how some of these guys come in and they just figure it out, right? I had a guy, he called me, he said, Brother Troy, you think it's some money in this COVID stuff? That's when COVID first happened.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly.
Mm.
The guy calls me back. He says, you think you get me 20 employees at $25 an hour? I said, that should be easy, right? Yeah, I could do that. Within a week, he had a whole COVID operation running where they were doing the testing. Well, he got millions of dollars to do testing for COVID. He had never been to any medical health school. He found a doctor to sign on. He found a couple nurses to do the training, and everybody else was laymen in the operation. He didn't have a facility. He got, part of the funding that came from the city, paid for trailers.
We got to do for ourselves.
It's just figuring it out, right?
That's the goal.
And we have the ability to figure it out because we're doing it for everybody else. We're doing it for everybody else.
Except for ourselves.
If you go down the list of Fortune 500 companies, most of them are presidents Black. You're the high majority. We run in their organizations.
Right.
That's true.
So we can do it, but we got to decide to do it for ourselves.
Very true. All right. Well, thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Once again.
It's always
like
my
home,
pleasure.
Like you always here.
Yeah, it's feeling good.
It's feeling good. I'm glad you feel good. Mickey, last words?
Nah, man, this was great. Can't wait to do it again.
And for everybody that was arguing in the chat today, we need you to donate to A10 News Media Group, $, that Cash App, $A10 News Media Group, because y'all had a great debate up there. I don't know how y'all watched us because y'all was debating for the whole 2 hours, but it was a healthy debate.
Great.
And we thank you all for listening. We hope that you took in some of this knowledge that the minister has taught us today. And just think about it. And we'll see you back here tomorrow, 9 a.m. Thank you.
Same bat time, same bat channel. Y'all love us tomorrow.
Right. Thank